Shabbat Shalom. Our scripture reading for today is Yohanan, which is John, chapter 5, verses 2 through 4. Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. In these lay a great multitude of impotent folk, of blind, halt, withered, waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel went down at a certain season into the pool and troubled the water. Whosoever then first, after the troubling of the water, stepped in was made whole of whatsoever disease he had.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Our selection today, wade in the water.
Trouble the water. Well, who is that man all dressed in red? God's gonna trouble the water. Well, it must be the band that Moshe led. God's gonna trouble the water. Trouble the water. Well, the leader looks like an Israelite. God's gonna trouble the water. Away in the water. Away in the water, children. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Well, Jordan's waters are chilly and cold. God's gonna trouble the water. It chills the body, but not the soul. God's gonna trouble the water. Away in the water. Away.
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you're sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication, and all uncleanness, or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as become saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim, for Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in this body of Yahshua. It is written, it says that Yahweh is going to perform his act, his strange act, and he is preparing, and if we pay attention, we can see the framework being set for this strange act to be proclaimed all over the earth. We are watching some very, very strange things happen, and you almost have to go to other news outlets to see the truth of the matter that, basically the child of a bully is running rampant in the land of Israel right now, understanding that they have the complete and total agreement with the so-called greatest military might in the world, so they can do whatever they want to do. But Yahweh has a tendency to pause on things to allow everybody an opportunity to say where their stand is. And Yahweh's pause is so amazing that what he does is, even the fakers who want to fake, Yahweh will outlast the fakers, so they don't get a chance to even pretend to be on the right side. The whole purpose of the parable of the 10 virgins, this whole wedding feast scenario was all about waiting. All the virgins looked like they were worthy in the beginning. So by waiting, by tarrying, it was then shown that 5 had oil and 5 did not. How did he do it? The wait, the pause. There is purpose in his pause. Now, we may be uncomfortable in that pause, but in that pause is where he's showing who is really on his side. As it is written, who is on Yahweh's side? And he's proving to men who is on his side. And this is where it starts to get a little cloudy with us, because there are some people that we are going to choose as being on Yahweh's side, and Yahweh is going to show, no, they're not on my side. Then there's going to be some people that we didn't choose that are on Yahweh's side, and he's going to say, no, they on my side. So this pause is not for him. This pause is for us. He already knows, but he has to show you so you don't question what he's about to do. That's what the pause is going to do. Now, we know that in this book it says, children of Israel are supposed to be kind to the stranger, for you know the heart of a stranger, for you were once a stranger. We can look at our neighborhoods and see that that is how we operate. When you look in the so-called Holy Land, you do not see that kind of operation, not at all. We also hear thrown out a lot. Whenever you see Jerusalem trodden down by the Gentiles, then know here is, judgment is near. The interesting part is, at this very time, Israel is being trodden down by the Gentiles, but the people believe that it's the Jews. So they don't understand that it's being trodden down of the Gentiles. Have you even looked at what that entire area looks like? It has been bombed to smithereens. They're not just bombing it, they then come through with a bulldozer and knock all the buildings down. It is a wasted dust land at this point. And what's interesting is then scriptures are being read, trodden down. What does trodden mean? You stepping on it. Okay, they're not just bombing it. They come through with What is the purpose of coming through with a bulldozer and knocking down a building that's already being bombed? So this is how Yahweh can present you with a scripture, but your heart has been turned in another direction, and you can't even see that that's what's happening. The interesting part is the people who are reading that are the ones that are trotting it down. That's how interesting this strange act is about to be. So we're going to read about Israel and the Holy Covenants. So we're going to start this in Genesis chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3, and we're going to read verses 9 through 24.
Verse 9. And Yahweh Elohim called unto Adam, and said unto him, Where are you? And he said, I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself. And he said, Who told you you was naked? Have you eaten of the tree whereof I commanded you that you should not eat? And the man said, The woman whom you gave to me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And Yahweh Elohim said unto the woman, What is this that you have done? And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. And Yahweh Elohim said unto the serpent, Because you have done this, you are cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon your belly shall you go, and dust shall you eat all the days of your life. And I'll put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. It shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. Unto the woman he said, I'll greatly multiply your sorrow, and your conception. In sorrow you shall bring forth children, and your desire shall be to your husband, and he shall rule over you. And unto Adam he said, Because you've hearkened to the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, saying, You should not eat of it, cursed is the ground for your sake. In sorrow shall you eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to you, and you shall eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of your face shall you eat bread, till you return unto the ground. For out of it was you taken, for dust you are, and unto dust shall you return.
All right, so a way of life have been set now because we have gone away from the commandment given unto us in the garden. Go ahead.
And Adam called his wife's name Eve, because she was the mother of all living. Unto Adam also and to his wife did Yahweh Elohim make coats of skins, and clothed them.
Once they have understanding, they must be clothed. And it is amazing that we still have to say that in this day and time. Once you have understanding, you must be clothed. Why are we having degrees on top of degrees, and we still have to put some clothes on conversation? It is very, very clear. As soon as they have understanding, put some clothes on. Now, beforehand, Yahweh was a little upset. Who told you were naked? Oh, now that you have understanding, I'm sorry, now you got to put clothes on. You have to understand, the body was Yahweh's creation. Don't he get to enjoy the creation that he made? But that was abruptly stopped by our desire to have this so-called understanding. So now at that point, you got to put on clothes. See, Yahweh was going to educate man in his time. Go ahead.
And Yahweh Elohim said, behold, the man is become as one of us.
The man has become one of us. He wasn't supposed to be this yet. Now, who came in and messed up my timetable? See, when you get you some precious little bundles of joy, you got a time frame that you say, all right, now when they get to preschool, we're going to do this. All right, now when they get to middle school, I'm going to do this with them. And then when they get ready to go to high school, I'm going to take them over here. Now, your little kid ain't went to preschool, but somebody done came by and gave them that high school view that you were going to give in the next 14 years. Oh, no, we got a problem now. Who the hell told you this? Who told you this? I was going to tell you this when you got 15. Who told you this? Okay, go ahead.
To know good and evil. And now, lest he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever.
Because now he has understanding enough to understand what that is. See, before, you can put something right among a child. He don't know what that is. He ain't gonna mess with it. He don't even know what you do with it. But just a little bit of understanding is enough to get you killed. Go ahead.
Therefore Yahweh Elohim sent him forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from whence he was taken. So he drove out the man, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubims, and a flaming sword which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life.
All right, now let's go to Genesis chapter 9. So we have a setup. There is a covenant made within that setup that now order has been placed. Genesis chapter 9, and we're going to read verses 1 through 17.
And Elohim blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, be fruitful, and multiply, and replenish the earth.
Now, we got to this point where he said, the thoughts and imagination of man's heart is evil continually. Now I need to do something. Go ahead.
And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moves upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered.
Now, when Yahweh gives you a job, he has to give you authority to do the job. And we don't really, sometimes we don't get that. We just think that, in this time and day of the earth, this is, how this operated. 9 and 1. And Elohim blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth. They're going to obey him. See, this is where people will read something, and they might have been, drinking something with the pinky out, and they feeling good, the fear and the dread of all animals should be upon us. So then they walk right in that lion cage, and we never see them again. See, this when you take something totally out of context. He had a job to do, and authority was given him to do that job. He can't tell you to gather no animals and they trying to kill you. He can't tell you to go and do all of these things and then they won't obey you. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Every moving thing that lives shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall you not eat. And surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man.
And to this day, you can see who has that covenant living inside of them. In every restaurant we go in, we have to tell these people to cook our food well done. Wait a minute. We are the descendants of slaves. How the hell did we get that? We didn't come directly from Israel and remember our culture. How did that get in us? We were raised up watching these people. These are the same people who threw the guts of hogs over the fence. All right? Because they call it eating high on the hog. We ate low on the hog. Low on the hog is the intestines, the feet, and all the various parts that they didn't want to eat. So they ate high on the hog, we ate low on the hog. Now here you got hog-eating individuals that still go in a restaurant and say, you got to cook mine all the way through, dog. Who put that in you? Who put that in there? Right. Go ahead.
Whoso shed man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of Elohim made he man. And you, be you fruitful, and multiply. Bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. And Elohim spake unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, And I, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl of the cattle, of the fowl of the cattle, and of every beast of the air with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. And I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood, neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. And Elohim said, This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth.
Right. And what does the adversary do? Take the token of the covenant and make it the gay pride flag. The token of the covenant is now a token of your ability to not understand right and wrong. But who else would do that but the adversary? Out of all the things in the earth that you could choose as an image for your way of life, why the hell did it have to be a rainbow? Now we have a point where people will openly use the rainbow and just put it out there. It has now become synonymous with gayness. Out of all the things, like I didn't understand, growing up, why a rabbit was used for Playboy. When I got older, I understood it made perfect sense. Because rabbit no be still. Rabbit no be still. I understood. It makes sense. This don't make no damn sense. What the hell does the rainbow have to do with your way of life? Who picked this? Satan. Because his object is to turn everything that Yahweh has upside down. I mean, if you make Sunday the worship day, It is the exact opposite of Saturday. It's not one day off. It is the absolute opposite. Sunday is the first day. Saturday is the last day. It's the seventh day. Exactly opposite. So why not do the same with the symbol of the covenant? Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I'll look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between Elohim and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. And Elohim said unto Noah, this is the token of the covenant which I have established between me and all the flesh that is upon the earth.
All right, so this is the token of this covenant. And only the adversary would go after something like that. Like I said, it doesn't make sense. Anyone's personal involvement or their personal choices, that's their personal choice. Why take what Yahweh has set in the sky? Now you gonna own what's in the sky and make it for your lifestyle? Go ahead.
Elder, although they might take that rainbow to do their own thing and we might have our thought process changed against it, they don't change his. He said, I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant. Your little flag that you got ain't reaching up there to him. So while you trying to change our thought process on it, nah, he said it's for him to look at it.
Well, what if it does exactly what he said? That he looked down and he see your rainbow flag and he remember his covenant. I'm just asking. So now he remembers his covenant and he see your flag and he think, oh, you must be in my covenant. Well, what the hell is that? I'm just saying. If that is his calling card, what happened if he called? You have to ask yourself some questions. What if this goes backwards? Like he said, if you're going to go to war against the enemy that oppresses you in your land, blow an alarm with the trumpet. Mm-hmm. Okay. How many people that be in the middle of robbing a bank and then blow the trumpet? They be in the midst of sneaking in somebody's window and then call Yahweh. That's probably not a good idea. Just saying. Genesis chapter 12. Let's go. I'll read verses 1 through 9.
Now Yahweh had said unto Abram, get you out of your country and from your kindred and from your father's house unto a land that I will show you. Mm-hmm. And I'll make of you a great nation, and I'll bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing.
All right, so he's entering into this covenant with Abram, saying, I will make of you a great nation, I will bless you, I will make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. All right? Wait a minute. You shall be a blessing. Mm-hmm. Now, you have to be careful how you operate when you are the blessing. See, we want to be blessed. But what happened when he made you the blessing? Where did you take his blessing? What did you do with his blessing? Who did you bestow it upon? What did you do with his blessing when you got upset? Go ahead.
And I'll bless them that bless you, and I'll curse him that curse you. Mm-hmm. And in you shall all the families of the earth be blessed.
Now, but what if you act in a suspect manner and cause somebody to curse you because you operated incorrectly? Does Yahweh still now have the right or to curse that person? And if he does he then hold you accountable? Because he says, I've been made to serve you in your sins. So if you are the blessing, and he will bless whatever blesses you, and he will curse whatever curses you, when you get outside the way, and somebody says something against you, and then Yahweh has to do something to them because they said something against you, does he then have to do double fold to you because you were the one out of line that caused the person to blaspheme in the first place? Just a little question. Go ahead, Bree.
You know, Elder, and we got to think, you brought up several times, David had the blessing on him. He had the anointing on him.
Yes.
And he said what to Saul about Saul? I will not touch one of Yahweh's anointed.
Yep.
You ain't forget it. Nah. That's still Yahweh's.
You got it.
That still belong to him right there.
No matter how many times Saul tried to kill him, he did not put his hands on that man. He even said smote his heart just to cut a piece of his garment off and went on the other side of the river. Hey, I could have got you, dog. You see it right? Look down. I did that. He's like, I'm not touching him. Now Yahweh gonna take care of that business. The oil of Yahweh touched that man's head. I ain't touching that man. See, we don't think like that. We don't think like that. We think once we get angry, it's all okay. All is fair in love and war. That's what they done did said. Okay, tell Yahweh. Don't tell me, tell him. Go ahead.
So Abram departed, as Yahweh had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran. And they went forth to go into the land of Canaan. And into the land of Canaan they came. And Abram passed through the land onto the place of Sychem, onto the plain of Moriah. And the Canaanite was then in the land.
Right, so Yahweh is bringing him to a place that he says, you gon' have. Just not right now. Go ahead.
And Yahweh appeared unto Abram and said, unto your seed will I give this land. And there built he an altar unto Yahweh, who appeared unto him. And he removed from thence unto a mountain on the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west and Hai on the east. And there he built an altar unto Yahweh, and called upon the name of Yahweh. And Abram journeyed, going on still toward the south.
All right, so we have then the father of our faith here called Father Abraham because of the beginning of all of this is being set in motion. Now, Yahweh is dealing at this point now, we're dealing with a specific group of people. We each, as we start to go, he sets up everything with Noah, then he goes specifically down this lineage. So now we're talking specifically about certain individuals. Let's go to Genesis chapter 15. And we're going to read verses 1 through 18.
After these things, the word of Yahweh came on to Abram in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abram, I am your shield and your exceeding great reward. And Abram said, Adonai Elohim, what will you give me, seeing I go childless, and the steward of my house is this Eleazar of Damascus? And Abram said, Behold, to me you have given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is mine heir.
Right, but you receive these promises saying that you're gonna be a great nation is gonna come out of you. First of all, that was a whole lot to say to a man 75. Then Yahweh there's still a pause after that, and you know he's getting, you know, a little like wait a minute now, you got to give me something, Yahweh. But he know what's been said, but he don't have anything before him. How long before we start questioning Yahweh? Because, you know, our clock move real fast. You know, we like kids in the corner. I've been here 2 weeks already. You've been there a minute and a half. It's been 90 seconds. That's how long you've been in that corner. You sure it ain't been 2 weeks, Dad? I swear it's been 2 weeks. It's been 92 seconds now. 92. Go ahead.
And behold, the word of Yahweh came unto him, saying, This shall not be your heir, but he that shall come forth out of your own bowels shall be your heir. And he brought him forth abroad and said, Look now toward heaven, and tell the stars, if you be able to number them. And he said unto him, so shall your seed be.
This is a lot to be saying to an aged individual. Because, see, we think that Yahweh has the same limitations that we have. See, we trying to explain to Yahweh, well, see, Yahweh, the way this works is, see, my biological clock, and then, you know, my wife, and then see what had happened was. So you're going to explain to the one who made the body how the body work. Boy, ain't you a piece of work. Go ahead.
And he believed in Yahweh, and he counted it to him for righteousness.
He counted it to him for righteousness for believing. Wait a minute. Believing is righteousness. How do you believe? Go ahead.
And he said unto him, I am Yahweh that brought you out of Ur of the Chaldees, to give you this land to inherit it. And he said, Adonai Elohim, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, take me an heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these, and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another, but the birds divided he not.
All right, so understand something now. Abraham is building altars and making sacrifices. What's happening here, man? Go ahead.
And when the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram. And, lo, an hour of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that your seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance.
Now, we're going to have to deal with those two verses right there. We're gonna have to deal with that. Go ahead.
And you shall go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried in a good old age. But in the 4th generation they shall come hither again, for the lawlessness of the Amorites is not yet full. And it came to pass that, when the sun went down, and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace, and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces. In the same day Yahweh made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto your seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt onto the great river, the river Euphrates.
All right, let's go. I want you to go to Exodus chapter 12, and I want you to read verses 40 and 41, because we need to deal with those two verses, Genesis 15, 13, and 14, and it says, and he said, know of a surety that your seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. Stranger, all right, first word, in a land that is not theirs, second part of that, and shall serve them and afflict them. Then we have 400 years. So there are several things that are there. This is why you have so many people that are trying their best to debunk the Torah. Okay? This is why they have to provide other books to read out of, because there's a lot of information right there. So let's go Exodus chapter 12, read verses 40 and 41.
Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the selfsame day did it come to pass.
Now, if this is what he was talking about, first of all, why would it be 430 and self-same? So he went exactly 430. Why 430 exactly? Right here, what was given unto Abram was 400 years. So that's one reason why we have a problem that could not be what he was talking about. But keep reading to the end.
That all the hosts of Yahweh went out from the land of Egypt.
All right. Now, I want you to read that same thing from the Septuagint. Drop down and go right where it says Britain.
And the sojourning of the children of Israel, while they sojourned in the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan, was 430 years.
Wait a minute. The land of Egypt and the land of Canaan together was 430 years. So we then know that this could not have been what he was talking about. So we have to start asking some questions. In Genesis 15, it says, know of a surety that your seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. So these people would not be native to that land. They shall serve them and afflict them 400 years. So how long were the Ashkenazis in Germany? Well, don't answer yet. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. Deuteronomy 28, and I want you to start at verse 45 and read that from 45 to 52. Now, this is what's called the Torah. And although many people want to go, I had a brother call me, and I got to send that brother the link. I forgot to do it. And the brother asked me, where can I get a Torah scroll? I said, bruh. Well, who the hell you been talking to? What you need a Torah scroll for? But you know, see, Eddie Wrong did something that messed up a whole lot of people's head. He had done rented him some Jewish people, and they came and wrapped him all around that scroll. They wrapped the scroll all the way around him and carried him around in the church, proclaimed him king. Right. They should have wrapped them little boys in there too. They should have put those little boys in the same scroll with him. Right. But if you got enough money, you can order anything. You go on Amazon and buy whatever you want. Apparently, the human scroll was in there too. Deuteronomy 28. Let's start at verse 45.
Moreover, all these curses shall come upon you.
Now, nobody wants to deal with this part of the Torah because other individuals can't provide any curses. And they always want to connect any curse to us as a people being the so-called curse of Ham. So nobody wants to go in this book and talk about any curses. Whenever someone cannot provide something, they do not want to speak of the evidence that they don't have. Go ahead.
Moreover, all these curses shall come upon you, and shall pursue you, and overtake you, till you be destroyed, because you hearken not unto the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded you. And they shall be upon you for a sign and for a wonder, and upon your seed forever. Because you serve not Yahweh your Elohim with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. Therefore shall you serve your enemies which Yahweh shall send against you, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon your neck until he have destroyed you.
Now, wait a minute. This is the Torah. And it's telling you what is going to happen to the true children of Israel. But when we look out in secular history, we can't find this happening to any other group of people in mass other than us. And this is why these things are not read. And because of funding, our churches have been told not to go into it. See, you filed the right paperwork. Oh, they give you all kind of money. Just stay out of here. Now you stay out of certain things, and I tell you what, you're gonna have the biggest congregation. You're gonna have basketball courts, baseball fields, football fields, soccer field. You're gonna have everything. Just teach what we want you to teach, and you're gonna be all right. Go ahead.
Yahweh shall bring a nation against you from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies.
As swift as the eagle flies. We know that Rome's symbol was an eagle, and we know that America's symbol is an eagle. But once again, they said that's just a coincidence. They said that all of these things in here are coincidences, and we are reading into it what we want to see. I didn't make y'all choose the eagle. Apparently Yahweh did, though. Go ahead.
A nation whose tongue you shall not understand.
One of the things that you hear all the time is people boasting about how they've been able to maintain the culture. Well, if you're spread out and raised among other individuals, you will not be able to speak that language. Keep going.
A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. And he shall eat the fruit of your cattle and the fruit of your land until you be destroyed, which also shall not leave you either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of your kind, or flocks of your sheep, until he have destroyed you. And he shall besiege you in all your gates, until your high and fenced walls come down, wherein you trusted, throughout all your land. And he shall besiege you in all your gates throughout all your land, which Yahweh your Elohim has given you.
Jump to verse 58.
If you will not observe to do all these words of this law that are written in this book, that you may fear this glorious and fearful name, Yahweh your Elohim, then Yahweh will make your plagues wonderful, and the plagues of your seed, even great plagues, and of long continuance, and of sore sickness, and of long continuance.
Right. You look at what ailments don't we have here in the daughter of Babylon? They have to make up names for the ailments that we have here. Just being here is a testament against our body. Go ahead.
Moreover, he will bring upon you all the diseases of Egypt, which you was afraid of, and they shall cleave unto you. Also every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law, then will Yahweh bring upon you until you be destroyed.
You see that? Every sickness and every plague which is not written in this book of the law. Go ahead.
And you shall be left few in number, whereas you were as the stars of heaven for multitude, because you would not obey the voice of Yahweh your Elohim. And it shall come to pass, that as Yahweh rejoiced over you to do you good and to multiply you, so Yahweh will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught. And you shall be plucked from off the land, whether you go to possess it. And Yahweh shall scatter you among all people.
Now, another key point, and Yahweh shall scatter you among all people. Not you scattering yourself. Now, that's a very strong point. We don't understand. Yahweh is going to scatter you among all people. That's totally different from you just deciding that you're going to go up. And you know what? I think I'm going to go to such and such. Go ahead.
From the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there you shall serve other gods, which neither you nor your fathers have known, even wood and stone.
So we already know, because of the destruction of the temple, that the children of Israel did not follow these things. Okay? Now he's telling us in future tense what's going to happen. So with us knowing that, we should then be able to look in history and see where is a group of people scattered among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other. We should not be able to look in one country and find the true children of Israel. Otherwise, the Torah is a lie. Go ahead.
And among these nations shall you find no ease.
Now, these people would not know that they are the children of Israel, because they will be raised up worshiping gods of wood and stone. Go ahead.
You know, just to touch on verse 65, and among these nations shall you find no ease. The people who are saying that they're the people right now, all they got to do is take the little thing off their head and assimilate, and you can find ease.
Yeah, but no, they got ease with it on. You can't, they have BDS laws saying that you can't boycott Israel. Do you understand what that means? That means the actions of Martin Luther King would be illegal if Israel steps into the picture. It is illegal to boycott them. No, their ease is with it on, my brother. Not taking it off. Because there's certain things that you just can't do.
I mean, before this, even if we was to take, we ain't got nothing we can take off and just ease into nothing.
Hey, you can take your skin off. It gonna hurt. Good luck on that. You're gonna be somewhere trying to heal. But go ahead, brother.
And among these nations shall you find no ease, neither shall the sole of your foot have rest. But Yahweh shall give you there a trembling heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind.
Right, and that happens to us even with all the things that we've done to establish this nation. We still have the same issues. Go ahead.
And your life shall hang in doubt before you, and you shall fear day and night, and shall have non-assurance of your life. In the morning you shall say, would Elohim it were evening, and at evening you shall say, would Elohim it were morning. For the fear of your heart wherewith you shall fear, and for the sight of your eyes which you shall see. And Yahweh shall bring you into Egypt again with ships.
Now, one of the things about so-called debunking Deuteronomy 28 is the people are trying to say that this is not what this means, that we reading into this again. All right, keep going.
By the way whereof I spake unto you, you shall see it no more again. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and for bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
No man shall redeem you. That's what it means when it says no man shall buy you. Because it says you're going to be sold unto your enemies. So you will not be sold unto people who look like you. You will be sold unto another people. Well, we got too much going on right here. So the powers that be have to so-called debunk this. And the way you create generations of people who don't believe this is create generations of people who do not read this. Have them reading something else. There is a plan in the works. But we're going to get back to this, bring you into Egypt again with ships, because we know Egypt is where we were in bondage. And then it automatically talks about being in bondage right under that. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 11. Isaiah 11, and let's start at verse 1. We're going to read 1 through 16.
And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Yessi, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. And the Spirit of Yahweh shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of Yah. And shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of Yah. And he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears.
Now we're dealing with another one of those covenants that's going to come through. So we're gonna back up, and we're gonna get back to that. But we're talking about Christ, Yeshua, coming through the lineage of David and having all 7 spirits. But this is a specific group of people that he's talking about. Go ahead.
But with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reins. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. And the cow and the bear shall feed, their young ones shall lie down together. And the lion shall eat straw like the ox, and the sucking child shall play on the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice's den. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Yahweh as the waters cover the sea. And in that day there shall be a root of Yessi, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Adonai shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people.
Wait a minute. He shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people. Go ahead.
Which shall be left from Assyria.
Wait a minute. We're talking about nations who have ruled over the children of Israel. Go ahead.
And from Egypt.
Uh-huh.
And from Pathros.
Uh-huh.
And from Cush.
Uh-huh.
And from Elam. And from Shinar.
Shinar is Babel. Go ahead.
And from Hamath. And from the islands of the sea.
Wait a minute. So once again, we're still not going to one place to get the children of Israel. Keep going.
And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Yehudah from the four corners of the earth.
Now, we're going to have to discuss this four corners of the earth because, you know, if when it says I'm going to send you to Egypt again via ships, if that don't mean real ships, I'm trying to figure out how they got there. How you get back to Jamaica?
Right now on a plane.
Right now on a plane. I don't think they had one of those then. They didn't have no. So you don't. They didn't fly. Interesting.
You can
Keep
still
reading.
take ships too.
Huh?
You can still take ships too.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Yehudah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Yehudah, and Yehudah shall not vex Ephraim. But they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines toward the west. They shall spoil them of the east together. They shall lay their hand upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them.
Uh-huh.
And Yahweh shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and with his mighty wind shall he shake his hand over the river, and shall smite it in the seven streams, and make men go over dry shod. And there shall be an highway for the remnant of his people.
There should be a highway for the remnant of his people. Go ahead.
Which shall be left.
Which shall be left. So wait a minute. Even after all of this, there are people that are still left that need to get back. Go ahead.
From Assyria, like as it was to Israel in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt.
Wait a minute. It says like as it was when they came up out of the land of Egypt. So if anyone can't produce a captivity after Egypt, they can't be Israel. It is as plain and simple as that. Let's go to Revelation chapter 7. Revelation chapter 7, and I just want to read verses 1 through 4.
And after these things I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth.
Four corners of the earth. Now, once again, the children of Israel, it says Judah was dispersed to the four corners of the earth. Now, we have judgment being set up, and he's going to the four corners of the earth. Go ahead.
Holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree.
Uh-huh.
And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living Elohim. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying,
But what we have been hearing on Sunday morning, God ain't angry with you. Wait a minute, man, y'all angels sitting there talking about we about to hurt it. We about to hurt it. Well, that sounds like anger. But you know, people don't give all their money if they think they might get hurt. Go ahead.
saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees.
Until.
We have sealed the servants of our Elohim in their foreheads.
Okay.
And I heard the number of them which were sealed.
All right. So now it says, go and seal these servants. Go ahead.
And there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel.
Of all, even when it comes down to sealing these servants, it is according to the entire makeup of the children of Israel. Now, this is not the number of people that are going to be saved. That's that erroneous doctrine that we used to get, because, you know, the Jehovah's Witnesses said that it was the 144,000 until their numbers got past 144,000. You know what I'm saying? So that doctrine is hard to prove. It's real easy to prove until you get past 144. Once you get 144 and 1, you're not going to make it. You know what I'm saying? Now you got to pick out. Now you got to pick out who not going to make it in your group. No. These individuals going to follow Yahshua wherever he go. No. You talking about a whole nother different level. You're not talking about no regular man now. He's talking about redeemed from the earth. These people have probably died already. We're talking about people who going to have new bodies. Now, you can't just, ain't just anybody going to be in this group right here. See, we're so busy looking at the tribal breakdown. You got, no. Redeemed. This is why Yahshua was called the first fruit among men. What? Redeemed from death. Redeemed after. Okay, now you got these other individuals. These ain't. How you going to follow Yahshua with a regular body? Yahshua can, he in the garden, they didn't even know who they were talking to. And then he blinked and leave. Now here you go trying to catch the 34 to go where he going, which I'm trying to get my transfer because see, Yahshua said he was going to be here. You ain't got that one of them bodies? Well, you can't follow him. How you going to follow him and you ain't got what he got? See, when I rode with the Volkswagen crew, I had to have the same kind of engine they had. Because when they hit the highway, they hit the highway. When I got me a Jixel 750, I realized that I could ride with Jixel 750s. I couldn't ride with them 1,000 boys. See, when the 1,000 boys got on that straightaway, now I can get them in the curve. But when them 1,000 boys hit that highway, I just got to find out where y'all going. Where y'all going? Let me write down the address. Because I'm not going to be able to keep up with them 1,000 boys because I don't have what they have. I can't move like they move. You can't move with him. You ain't got the same kind of body he got. He disappeared and you still standing there. And you got to realize when you can't keep up too. See, I done been on the highway with some boys and I had the same kind of bike, that they had. They were just better riders than me. And I realized I'm just going to meet y'all there. When they started weaving in and out of traffic, they went all the way to the left lane to come all the way back to the right lane. And got off on the exit. I said, no, I'm not going to make that exit. So I just act like I was still trying to go straight. I'm not getting over there. I'm not doing that. I'm not finna die trying to follow them. Even though I had what they had, I couldn't ride like they rode. They had a death wish. I didn't have that. You got to know, no, this real is not me. So, being that we have had this ship don't mean a ship thing. We have to go into a few things. Now, when we examine the curses and the blessings placed upon the children of Israel, it is clear to surmise that Yahweh punishes Israel through captivity or slavery. Why is this, you might ask? Deuteronomy 28 clearly states that if you do not serve Yahweh, that you will serve your enemies. Israel was created to serve, so either we serve him or we are doomed to serve the heathens. Now, the converts to Judaism can't produce various captivities in their past, so a concerted effort has been put in place to debunk Deuteronomy chapter 28. Various erroneous concepts have been aired to attempt to discredit the claim of the true children of Israel. One such claim is that going into Egypt again via ships, Deuteronomy 28 verse 68, does not actually mean ships. So let's get into that. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 64 says that he will scatter us among the nations. Now the earth is made up of 71% water. So how can you not use ships if you will scatter them among the nations? We just need to ponder on that for a second. It is 71% water. How do you scatter them among the nations and not use ships? If the ancient Jews went from Israel to Germany, what route did they take? Let us examine a world map to discuss the possibilities. Now, do we have a map right there? Mm-hmm. Okay. So in looking at this map, now we know that first of all, Yahweh does not take the easiest or the quickest route when relocating his people because his word says so. As it is written, Deuteronomy 1 and 2 says there are 11 days journey from Horeb by the way of Mount Seir unto Kadesh Barnea. The next word says, and it came to pass in the 40th year. So Yahweh is not interested in how fast or quick the journey could be. More so, are you ready to be to the place that you are supposed to be at? So, if we erase the possibilities of ships, then we must see the walking path to get to Germany from Israel, which is and always was located in North Africa. There is no such thing as a Middle East. So let's examine what took place when Israel attempted to walk through Edom's land. But before we go there, I want you to look at this map. We got Israel circled and we have Germany circled. So to land-wise get to this, you would have to go through about 9 countries. There's about 9 borders that you're going to have to cross to get there. And that's an enormous, trek. Now, and I've always asked the question, if those are the descendants, how did they get from Israel to Germany? And they have a problem with Deuteronomy 28 because it says ships. So they say not ships. So who walked through to get to that? We're talking, I need you to have a visual. I need you to look at the 2 circles. Yahweh said ships. Okay, so if, let's say, something like that were to happen, I want you to see the possibilities of a problem. Let's go to Numbers chapter 20. Because Israel tried to go through and walk through some land. And let's see what Israel was told. Numbers chapter 20. And we're going to read verses 14 through 21. And sometimes you have to give a visual, because there are definitely visuals given when people are speaking against the truth. So you're going to need visuals to understand that the truth is what it is. Because inside, you still get a second guess yourself because of so many other images that you've already seen that have told you otherwise. So Numbers 20 and verses 14 through 21.
And Moshe sent messengers from Kadesh unto the king of Edom. Thus says your brother Israel, you knoweth all the travail that has befallen us. How our fathers went down into Egypt, and we have dwelt in Egypt a long time. And the Egyptians vexed us and our fathers. And when we cried unto Yahweh, he heard our voice and sent an angel, and has brought us forth out of Egypt. And behold, we are in Kadesh, a city in the uttermost of your borders. Let us pass, I pray you, through your country. We will not pass through the fields or through the vineyards, neither will we drink of the water of the wells. We will go by the king's highway. We will not turn to the right hand nor to the left until we have passed your borders. And Edom said unto him, you shall not pass by me, lest I come out against you with the sword.
Now, this is one nation that said, no, you're not coming through. So imagine if you have to go through this 9 times. So that means you have to keep walking around. Now, how large is around? Go back to that map. Now, you know certain ones just can't say no for this to even work. And you would have to go through the entire breadth of their land. Okay? Do you understand what that would take in a time of no modern travel and technology? And if something that big, there should definitely be some kind of documentation of it. All right, go back to the other graphic. Keep reading.
And the children of Israel said unto him, we will not go by the highway, and if I and my cattle drink of your water, then I'll pay for it. I'll only, without doing anything else, go through on my feet. And he said, you shall not go through. And Edom came out against him with much people and with a strong hand.
You have to consider something. If you allow a whole group of people to come, you know, and they're coming and marching into your country. Now, when they first get to the border, your best chance of fighting against them is right there. What if they get all the way into the interior of your country, right in your inner cities that are vulnerable, and then decide to wage war? So you can understand why a country would be afraid of that. Now imagine if you have to ask 9 countries this. And if the first couple, because of how the land is made, say no, you have a problem. Now, do you have to ask them, can you come back if it don't work out? Just putting all the possibilities. Now, you know, did all these countries allow a group of exiled people with no power to walk freely through all of their lands? As we look, that would be 7 to 9 countries who would have to open their borders for such a journey to occur. I don't know why there's such a big push against the ships, but actually, yes, I do. Because when other people can't provide it, they need to knock that down. So let's go to 2 Chronicles chapter 9. Because we're about to take a turn here so that we can just see how normal and common it was for them to get on these ships. 2 Chronicles chapter 9, and read verses 20 through 22.
And all the drinking vessels of King Shlomo were of gold, and all the vessels of the house of the forest of Lebanon were of pure gold. None were of silver. It was not anything accounted of in the days of Shlomo.
So much so rich that silver don't even have value. Now that's rich.
Well, the man's just old ragged. Them the regular ones. We get those to the service, the silver ones.
I said, what? The silver one for the service? Go ahead.
Where the king's ships went to Tarshish with the servants of Haram.
Uh-huh.
Every 3 years, once came the ships of Tarshish bringing gold and silver, ivory, and apes and peacocks.
Wait a minute. So there is a constant flow of commerce coming from Israel to Tarshish. Constant flow of merchandise. So it would not be a strange thing for Yahweh to say, I'm going to transport you as commerce among the ships. Some of the things that Shlomo used to build the temple did not exist in Israel. He had to ship it in. Yet somehow somebody has poisoned us against the idea of ships. Understand something. It's telling you that it sent apes and peacocks. Understand, this is how animals not native to the land get in the land. They ship it from somewhere else. And why is that strange to us? Half of you knuckles is in a car shipped from somewhere else. Lexus don't come from here. Mercedes don't either. It came on a ship. So how is it that we have an issue with this? Go ahead, brother. Did you finish that?
Elder, when you're looking at this, it kind of explains the whole Nina Santa and all the motherships, because these people were familiar with us.
Very familiar with us. Oh, we about to get there, brother.
Okay.
And we about to get there in grand fashion. I want you to read.
Let me finish verse 22.
Go ahead.
And King Shlomo passed all the kings of the earth in riches and wisdom.
All right. Now, let's read the definition of Tarshish.
From H8659, Tarshish, probably the same as 8658 as the region of the stone, or the reverse. Tarshish, a place on the Mediterranean, hence the epithet of a merchant vessel, as if for or from that port. Also the name of a Persian and of an Israelite, Tarshish, Tarshish.
All right. So go to the Brown Drivers Briggs info on Tarshish.
A city of the Phoenicians in a distant part of the Mediterranean Sea, to which the prophet Jonah was trying to flee. Noun, proper locative. Site unknown, but perhaps in Cyprus or Spain.
So now we start to get close to Spain. Now I want you to go to Jonah 1, and I want you to read what was happening right there. All right? So this is where, why would Jonah even think to flee to Tarshish? Because there's regular ships going back and forth. What did Shlomo say? Every 3 years. First of all, it's taking that long to make the trips back and forth. Okay? These ain't today's modern vessels now. But there's constantly ships going back and forth. And eventually they start to get better at it. But you have commerce going back and forth from Israel to Tarshish. Now we see that it's dealing with Spain. So go and read Jonah 1 and read verses 1 through 3.
Now the word of Yahweh came on to Jonah the son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness is come up before me. But Jonah rose up to flee on to Tarshish from the presence of Yahweh, and went down to Joppa, and he found a ship going to Tarshish.
Found a ship. So this is something that's normal stuff. A ship going from here, from Israel to Spain. Now, wait a minute. Now things are about to start getting interesting. Go ahead and finish that.
So he paid the fare thereof, and went down into it, and to go with them on to Tarshish from the presence of Yahweh.
Okay, so first thing we got these people from Israel constantly going to Tarshish, which we now know is Spain. Now, the word Negro is Spanish. The definition says black, dark, raven, pitchy. So even when we ain't singing the right note, and they say you pitchy, hell, I was already pitchy when I came because I'm black. I was pitchy before I started singing. Okay, interesting. Now I want you to read, starting with the next graphic.
Sephardic Jews are Spanish Jews who were forced to convert to Catholicism or face expulsion from Spain after 1492.
Now, we're going to have to get to these dates because these dates are quite interesting. Now, understand, so the Spanish then would be very familiar with Israelite culture. Why? Because these ships are going back and forth constantly. Shlomo said every 3 years, and these are official, these not regular things. Every 3 years, we're talking about ships filled with merchandise. You already got ships going back and forth with people. All right, keep reading.
In this great diasporic movement, 100,000 to 300,000 Spanish Jews, estimates vary, left Spain and settled in different parts of Europe and the Middle East.
Wait a minute. So you have a different set of Jews then when you deal with the Sephardic Jews, because those are Jews from Spain, and they are constantly getting Israelite culture because of the constant travel back and forth. Keep going.
Many settled in the Ottoman Empire after they were welcomed by the Ottoman Sultan. The name Sephardic comes from the Hebrew word for Spain, Sepharad.
So we have something. So those individuals were able to then come back toward the Ottoman Empire. They were then accepted because it was some likeness in the culture. Go to the next graphic.
The arrival in the West Indies of the 3 ships of Columbus is variously understood as a triumph for Spaniards, Genoese, Italians, or for Europe as a whole. but the entire endeavor rests upon a foundation of Islamic, Jewish, and classical science. In particular, Abraham Zekuto developed astronomical tables, almanacs, and maps, while Levi ben Gerson is credited with the invention of the C quadrant or Jacob's staff or Jacob's staff used to guide marine courses.
Now, understand, these individuals are sailing constantly. Go ahead. Next graphic.
Did all these countries allow a group of exiled people with no power to walk freely through all of their lands? It only makes sense if you are a trader and need to get to the coast to make your sale.
The only way for them to be able to sell the things that they have was to get to the coast, get to these ports so they could ship it off. Now, here's where things get interesting. Read the next line.
Columbus was a Sephardic Jew.
Columbus was a Sephardic Jew. You have then these individuals we'd even consider. Why was there a Spanish name to explain us? Why? Why Negro? Why that term? They could have used any term to describe us. Why was it Negro? Okay, things about to start getting interesting. Go to the next graphic.
The year of discovery in 1492 was also the seminal year of the Sephardic diaspora, when Spanish Jews were required to convert to Catholicism or to leave Spain.
All right, now something brought on this edict. Something brought on this whole thing that you gonna either be a Catholic or you gonna get out of here. Now something brought them to this, and they still have this attitude regarding us to this day. And it's a love-hate type situation. All right, keep going.
Much of the population moved on to Portugal or found homes on the Mediterranean littoral. Columbus's first crew included several conversos or Spanish Jewish converts to Christianity.
Spanish Jewish converts to Christianity. They didn't have any choice. You either convert or you die. But you also understand how they would know the culture. Go ahead.
Notably, the interpreter, Luis Torres. Importantly, 3 conversos in the Spanish court were influential in securing royal approval for the controversial expedition. When it became apparent that new lands lay to the west rather than the tip of Asia, Jewish writers joined other European intellectuals in speculation as to the character and history of that place.
All right, let's go to the next graphic.
Scholars who specialize in the history of slavery and the slave trade in the Spanish Atlantic world could not help but notice that, for all its importance, the 1619 project presented a simplified version of the slave trade to the Americas. The now famous 1619 voyage of the White Lion that delivered the first enslaved Africans to the English North America did not bring its captives directly from Africa. And these individuals were not the first African captives to be brought to the Americas. The transatlantic slave trade to the Americas began a century before the White Lion's notorious journey.
Wait a minute. The transatlantic slave trade to the Americas began a century before the White Lion's notorious journey. Go ahead.
Spanish records.
I'm talking about whose records?
Spanish
Okay.
records.
Now we're getting a lot of situations from the Spaniards right now. But remember now, there's back and forth travel constantly from Israel to Tarshish. All right, keep going.
Spanish records confirm that the first documented slave voyage to North America in fact landed in Puerto Rico, a Spanish colony, in 1520.
So now we're starting to get these dates. We got 1520. We had some other stuff happen in 1492. Wait a minute, where Jews got to leave Spain, or they have to convert. Now, right over here, we have 1520. Now, these things are getting strangely close together. Go ahead.
Moreover, the 20 captives delivered to Virginia by the White Lion in 1619 were not originally destined for British territory. English privateers seized these African women, men, and children from a Portuguese vessel in the Caribbean that intended to deliver them to Spanish America.
Right. Wait a minute. From Portuguese vessel in the Caribbean. Now, when the Jews was forced out, they had to go to other places and then Portugal. All right. What we read before. So keep reading.
Where slavery was already well established. Stepping back from the Anglo-centric focus that so often shapes our historical understanding in U.S. and British academic context highlights the centrality of Spain and Spanish America in shaping the Atlantic world and the complex ties of commerce, racism, and oppression that link the British and Spanish colonies in the Americas.
Okay. So we have some togetherness, even though they are apart, and dealing with some of their actions there. Go ahead.
The Moors. The Moors were an Islamic nomadic people of northern Africa who conquered most of Spain and Portugal in the early 700s.
Wait a minute and say now we getting somewhere. Or why these dates is running into each other? Why we got 1490, 1520. Now we're starting to get something. Wait a minute. These Moors, and they say there was an Islamic nomadic people. Understand, those were a mix of people, including Israelites, that were going back and forth. Remember now, if you're coming from Israel, you have other people that are right around this area as well who will jump on those ships. So now you have this constant travel. So now the Moors conquered most of Spain and Portugal. Go ahead.
With their advances in astronomy, math, art, and farming, the Moors helped transition Europe into the Renaissance period.
Wait a minute. So here's the love-hate. They were in the Dark Ages until these black people went over and conquered them, and now they're in the Renaissance period. Go ahead.
The Moors' capital city, Cordova, was known as the most beautiful and civilized city in Europe during this time. Unlike other parts of Europe where most people couldn't read or write at the time, the people that lived under Moorish rule were educated.
Wait a minute. So these people that just didn't invade and do harm, no, they made the place better when they arrived. Go ahead.
The Moors introduced many things to Spain, including many different types of foods and crops, including lemons, cotton, silk, and sugarcane. Though they were defeated in the 1400s...
Wait a minute. If they were defeated in the 1400s, 1492, all the Jews got to leave. Wait a minute. Now we're starting to put together a puzzle. Now, who pushed the transatlantic slaves trade? Spain. Now we're starting to connect some things. They were angry at these people who had come and showed them things, ruled over their country, and completely turned their place around. So now they got to get some get back. Go ahead.
The African Moors strongly influenced Spanish culture for over 700 years.
700 years. Go ahead.
And they still do to this day.
All right. So now the Spaniards have to get some get back after they've taken all of the technology, they've taken all of the things, and we can see to this day, if we go and look at Spain, hey, the tint of their skin look different than everybody else. But it was 700 years of you hanging around, dude. Okay, go to the next graphic.
Running with the Bulls is a festival to commemorate running the black bulls, the Moors, who were a mix of people which included Israelites out of Spain.
Right, and they celebrate this, and and they show up in blackface.
Still
Okay,
to this day.
yeah, they show up in blackface to celebrate running Jews out of Spain. This is why when people go there, they find a totally different kind of racism. They say, oh, now this is strange. It's like the whole country celebrate. We know that racism is different for us depending on where we go. We know in certain areas that, hey, you need to get out of here before it get dark. It's different when the whole country celebrate. But these festivals make sure that they stand together as a unit to say, these people came and ruled over us. Yes, they made our situation better. We're going to keep all the technology that they gave us, but we need them to go. And see, we think that can never happen to us. Ain't no way we've done all this stuff. Won't nobody just put us out. What do you think happened here? What do you think happened here? They said, look, convert or die. Go ahead.
You know, Elder, it also showed that they learned something because the Moors educated them. When they came here, they didn't want to educate us. Why? They think the same thing might happen to us?
Exactly. They made sure we couldn't read or write, made sure they kept education from you. They knew what you were cut from. And how they know? Because they the ones spearheading this whole thing. Even though them and the British were going against one another, they were still with one another. Go ahead.
When we examine the origins of running with the bulls, it just tells you that it began in the 14th century.
Now, if we're going to go 14th century, well, we heard some other 14 that made sense. Mm-hmm. Right. So now all of these dates are starting to run together so that you find out that all these individuals understand exactly who you are. I'm talking about nations understand who you are. Now, there's a total difference now between a Sephardic Jew and the Ashkenazi Jew. Now, the Sephardic Jew are more closely related to your culture because they got it hand in hand going back and forth to Israel. Now, let's go to the next graphic.
You know, as you talk about, they know who we are. You know, it's that thing of, I don't know if you've seen the video that one of the brothers posted with Muhammad Ali, where he was talking about trying to go into a restaurant back in 58, and they wouldn't allow him to come in and eat. And he says he's standing there, he see these two African dudes dressed in culture with their turbans on, walked in, couldn't speak the language, and the lady looked, what you want to do? The man said, serve them. They ain't Negroes. 1958.
Right.
So they've always known the difference of who's who.
Yep.
Ashkenazi Jews come from Eastern Europe, Germany, and France, while Sephardic Jews are from Spain, Portugal, Africa, and the Middle East.
Now, wait a minute. So now we a lot of times we put all of this into to one bowl here, but there's a difference. Because at one point, you have to ask yourself, how did these other individuals get it? Did it spread off from Spain and go to the other individuals? Keep reading.
Most Jews in America are Ashkenazi because of the large population of German and Eastern European Jewish immigrants who arrived in the U.S. between the 1850s and the 1900s. Today, Ashkenazim, plural for Ashkenazi, constitute more than 80% of all the Jews in the world, vastly outnumbering Sephardic Jews. In the early 21st century, Ashkenazi Jews numbered about 11 million. In Israel, the numbers of Ashkenazim and Sephardim are roughly equal. All Reform and conservative Jewish congregations belong to the Ashkenazic tradition.
Right, so then even the worship practices are different. Go ahead. Next graphic.
Millions of Ashkenazi Yiddish speakers were victims of the Nazi Holocaust. Yiddish was further suppressed by the Soviet Union, by the antagonism of early Israeli authorities guarding modern Hebrew, and by shifts to other primary language in Western countries. The language is now in common use among the ultra-Orthodox Hasidim in numerous countries and among secular students of Yiddish at leading universities.
So we have to, consider something. So the Ashkenazim have went through the Holocaust. The Sephardic Jews have absolutely no connection with the Holocaust whatsoever. The Sephardic Jews went through the diaspora. The Ashkenazi Jews have absolutely no connection whatsoever with the diaspora. We have a very interesting situation here. Keep reading.
The earliest dated Yiddish documents are from the 12th century CE, but scholars have dated the origin of the language to the 9th century, when the Ashkenazim emerged as a unique cultural entity in Central Europe. Yiddish first arose through the intricate fusion of two linguistic stocks, a Semitic component containing post-classic Hebrew and Aramaic that the first settlers brought with them to Europe from the Middle East, and a grammatically and lexically more potent Germanic component gleaned from a number of High German and Middle German dialects. In addition, a sprinkling of words from Romance languages also seems to have appeared in Yiddish from early on. From its birthplace on German-speaking soil.
The birthplace of Yiddish is on German-speaking soil. Go ahead.
Yiddish spread to nearly all of Eastern Europe.
Spread to Eastern Europe. Go ahead.
Where the language acquired a Slavic component, spoken mainly in the U.S., Israel, and Russia.
All right, go to the next graphic.
Hebrew is a Semitic language.
All right, hold that for a minute. Hebrew is Shemitic. Now read what it says after that.
A subgroup of the Afro-Asiatic languages.
Stop right there. You know how hard it was to get some of this stuff off of Encyclopedia Britannica? They kept blocking whole paragraphs every time I got ready to try to copy it. I said, now this is starting to get damn interesting. Every time I go to it, they say, no, he's Negro. Why I can't get this paragraph? No. They turned to who that dude who talking about? McKimbe. No. I said, man, what? I need this paragraph. No. Why I can't get this paragraph? I got to jump off and then jump back on and then it pop up for a second and be like, no. We know it's you, Negro. I said, okay. So y'all gonna put it out there, but not out there. So I got to go to the outer net to get what's on the internet. I said, what's happening here? But how many people gonna go 15 times and say, damn it, I'm gonna get this paragraph? Didn't they know you ain't? I said, yes, I is. I'm gonna show you. Most people done gave up by now. But see, now I'm intrigued. Because I want to know why you don't want me to know. Go ahead, Bree.
Hebrew is a Shemitic language, a subgroup of the Afro-Asiatic languages.
And all I can think about is Big Daddy Kane every time you say Afro-Asiatic. But see, this generation of hip-hop listeners they ain't even never heard of Big Daddy Kane. They didn't know that there was rappers who rapped about pro-Africa, pro-black causes. All they know is murder, death, kill today. Murder, death, kill, and shake it till you break it. That's it. But we know that there's a push behind making sure that they don't hear this too. Go ahead.
Languages spoken across the Middle East. While Yiddish is a German dialect which integrates many languages, including German, Hebrew, Aramaic, and various Slavic and Romance languages. While Yiddish does use some Hebrew words and is written in the Hebrew alphabet, Yiddish is actually more closely related to German and Slavic languages than it is to Hebrew. The Hebrew alphabet has 22 letters, which are all consonants. Vowels in Hebrew are deduced from context and from marks above and below the Hebrew letters. In Yiddish, silent Hebrew letters become vowels. Letters which are used as both consonants and vowels are read according to the context, and some marks below letters are used as well, but take on a different sound than in Hebrew.
This is why you'll have some people that might say David and somebody that says Dawid. So you have these various differences. Now let's go to Isaiah chapter 44. Isaiah 44, and we're going to read verses 1 through 5.
Yet now hear, O Jacob my servant, and Israel whom I have chosen. Thus says Yahweh that made you, and formed you from the womb, which will help you. Fear not, O Jacob my servant, and you, Yeshurun, whom I have chosen. For I'll pour water upon him that is thirsty, and floods upon the dry ground. I'll pour my spirit upon your seed, and my blessing upon your offspring. And they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the watercourses. One shall say, I am Yahweh's, and another shall call himself by the name of Jacob, and another shall subscribe with his hand unto Yahweh, and surname himself by the name of Israel.
Now, the Jews of the diaspora would have been forced to change their names because of captivity. Ashkenazi didn't go through any captivity. Those are their original names. So those are the German names that they were, that they had originally. So when we hear certain names and we think that that is a certain kind of name, that is a German name. Israel was forced to change their name. That's a part of captivity. That is a part of being shipped all over the globe. You are not going to have your name. You are not going to have your culture. Once you find out who you are, then you get to the point of changing your name back to what it was supposed to be. It was a real effort to make sure that none of those slaves kept their cultural name, because that would cause them to fight the rule that is put over them. So when we go into 2 Kings 17 and it says that the Assyrians took the children of Israel out of Samaria and put other nations in, that was a tactic. When you are conquering areas, it allows you to keep control of the area. So you take the people who are native to that area and put them somewhere else. Take the other people from somewhere else and put them in this area. What does that do? You just erase the revolt. People revolt if they're continually in their land and they keep getting together. Eventually they revolt against the ruling authority. But when you change lands and swap, they don't have the same connection. This was absolutely a tactic used over and over. So moving those people from one land to another land had its purpose. So now you have all of these other individuals who are learning a culture that they were not actually a part of, but have done it so long that they say, this is us. But the curses don't go to them. Why? Because that only goes to the lineage of the people who stood before and said, all the things you have said, Yahweh, we will do. Those curses only go to those. It doesn't go to the people who converted. So now you have the converted who don't have the curses telling you how you must not be the people. Because we're able to prosper more than you. Go ahead, brother. You finished that?
Yes, sir.
Let's go to Exodus chapter 19. Exodus 19, and we're going to read verses 1 through 6.
In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. For they were departed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mount. And Moshe went up unto Elohim, and Yahweh called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shall you say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, You have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine.
Now, you have converts that are saying that then this is them, but they haven't gone through the diaspora at all. But he's talking to a specific group of people. Go ahead.
And you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests
Uh-huh.
and an holy nation. These are the words which you shall speak unto the children of Israel.
So from the beginning, Yahweh had already decreed, you're going to be a kingdom of priests, not a tribe of priests. The entire world has to be taught. Levi is the priest to Israel, Israel the priest to the world. They can't learn from the same level that you learn from. Levi can't be their priest and your priest. No, there's levels to that. There's absolute levels to that, and they have to deal with those levels. Like we get into this New Testament, Saul says, I'm an apostle unto the Gentiles. I magnify mine office. Peter wasn't teaching them. No, you can't have the same one who's teaching the children of Israel also teaching the heathen. No. It's levels. You don't get to run up in there. The way this thing was set up, you have an inner court and an outer court. The people from the outer court ain't running up in the inner court. There's order there. Let's go to Exodus chapter 24. And that order is going to the level of accountability and responsibility. And we can understand that in any other situation. We understand when we go at a job, you just got hired. That parking spot up front that say reserved, I don't advise you park in it. Bro, you just got hired yesterday. How you gonna park in a reserved parking spot? You don't understand there's levels to this? You gonna find out when you go in that building. Who blue car that is? Who? That's first thing. The owner gonna wonder, who blue car that is? Tell me why I'm in the back. I need to find out who car this is. No. Find out who car that is and bring them to my office. Because they got to look me in my eye. Because I got to figure out who bold enough to park in my parking spot. I mean, you pull into a new place and it ain't but one parking spot open. Boy, you better go park next door. I ain't parking there. Common sense ought to tell you, I ain't parking there. Somebody who done went through some real turmoil to set all this up, that's probably their parking spot right there. That's just common sense. So Yahweh has an order. He has the people who have gone through the diaspora, the people who have suffered for this. Wait a minute. The more the suffering, the closer they get to sit to him. Simple. And he got the whole thing set up. He said, no. The sons of Zadok, they gonna come close to me. No. These people, they gonna come close to me. And it's connected to the things that we don't want to have nothing to do with. Suffering. Go ahead.
Exodus chapter 24 and verse 1. And he said unto Moshe, Come up unto Yahweh, you and Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship you afar off.
You have to ask yourself, how Moshe get to keep going all up close to Yahweh? Man, all he did was suffer. And all he trying to do is to help these people, and they are on him constantly.
You made yourself a prince judge over us. Made yourself good. Now, hold on.
Yahweh do something, Moshe get blamed for it. You have burnt up the people of Yahweh. Did you see fire shoot out my hand, bro? Did I make the ground open up? But he's getting blamed for everything. But tell me somebody who got closer to Yahweh than him. He's so close, he turning into a God. Go ahead.
And Moshe alone shall come near to Yahweh.
Uh-huh.
But they shall not come near, neither shall the people go up with him.
Right. Y'all can't come. No, it's levels to this thing. You can't park in Moshe parking spot. Yahweh comes and say, who put their donkey right here? Moshe, that's your donkey. No. Who in the hell parked their donkey right here? Oh, no, you got some problem. Go ahead.
And Moshe came and told the people all the words of Yahweh and all the judgments. And all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words that Yahweh had said, we will do.
Right, which makes Israel accountable on a much higher level. This is why converts don't have the same problems that the children of Israel do, who are the descendants of the people who stood before Yahweh and said, all that you have said will we do. Go ahead.
And Moshe wrote all the words of Yahweh and rose up early in the morning and built an altar under the hill and 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Israel. And he sent young men of the children of Israel, which offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto Yahweh. And Moshe took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people, and they said, all that Yahweh had said will we do, and be obedient.
We are agreeing to this covenant. Go ahead.
And Moshe took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, behold, the blood of the covenant, which Yahweh has made with you concerning all these words. Then went up Moshe and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel. And they saw the Elohim of Israel. And there was under his feet as it were a paved work of a sapphire stone, and as it were the body of heaven in his clearness. And upon the nobles of the children of Israel he laid not his hand. Also they saw Elohim, and did eat and drink. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, come up to me into the mount, and be there, and I'll give you tables of stone, and a law and commandments, which I have written, that you may teach them.
Right. I'm going to give it to you that you may teach them. They can't come up here and learn at the same level you learn. No. You come to me and then you go to them. They're not coming up here. Go ahead.
And Moshe rose up, and his minister Yahshua. And Moshe went up into the mount of Elohim. And he said unto the elders, tarry you here for us until we come again unto you. And behold, Aaron and Hur are here with you. If any man have any matters to do, let him come unto them. And Moshe went up into the mount, and a cloud covered the mount. And the glory of Yahweh abode upon Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it 6 days. And the seventh day he called unto Moshe out of the midst of the cloud. And the sight of the glory of Yahweh was like devouring fire on the top of the mount in the eyes of the children of Israel. And Moshe went into the midst of the cloud and gat him up into the mount. And Moshe was in the mount 40 days and 40 nights.
Right. So Yahweh was showing Moshe a bit of his glory when he began with the burning bush. Now, he didn't know what he was looking at. But eventually you have to learn how Yahweh dealing with you. Now, every time he go up into the mount, what is he seeing? The same thing he saw in that bush. Fire, but the stuff that's burning is not consumed. See, now he ain't wondering and marveling at it. He's like, oh, yeah, that's Yahweh. I just need to make sure I approach right. I don't need to trip out. Now, the other people going to trip out, but I can't trip out. I got to keep coming in here doing this work. So I can't trip out. But I know I got the approach right. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 7. Second Samuel chapter 7, and we're going to read verses 5 through 17.
Go and tell my servant David, thus says Yahweh, shall you build me an house for me to dwell in? Whereas I have not dwelt in any house since the time that I brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt, even to this day, but have walked in a tent and in a tabernacle. In all the places wherein I have walked with the children of Israel, spake I a word with any of the tribes of Israel, whom I commanded to feed my people Israel, saying, why build you not me an house of cedar? Now therefore, so shall you say unto my servant David, thus says Yahweh of hosts, I took you from the sheepcote, from following the sheep, to be ruler over my people, over Israel. And I was with you whithersoever you went, and have cut off all your enemies out of your sight, and have made you a great name, like unto the name of the great men that are in the earth. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, that they may dwell in a place of their own.
That they may dwell in a place of their own. Go ahead.
And move no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more, as before time.
Wait a minute. These are the promises given to Israel in the future. Go ahead.
And as since the time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, and have caused you to rest from all your enemies, also Yahweh tells you that he will make you an house.
All right, so now the kings are going to constantly come from the loins of this man. Go ahead.
And when your days be fulfilled, and you shall sleep with your fathers, I will set up your seed after you, which shall proceed out of your bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build an house for my name, and I'll establish the throne of his kingdom forever. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. If he commit lawlessness, I'll chasten him with the rod of men, and with the stripes of the children of men. But my mercy shall not depart away from him.
But my mercy shall not depart away from him. I'm going to discipline him. But I ain't going to take my mercy away from him. Now, everybody don't have that. Go ahead.
As I took it from Saul, whom I put away before you. And your house and your kingdom shall be established forever before you. Your throne shall be established forever. According to all these words and according to all this vision, so did Nathan speak unto David.
All right. So now you have, going forward, you have a lot of things taking place. And these individuals are seizing on the promises, but you have to then question, okay, did those promises pertain unto the individuals who are making the actions? Does that apply to you? Yahweh is dealing with a specific lineage of people, not anybody who anything through their mama, because lineage goes through the male. So if you can tell me you anything through your mama, I can pretty much tell you this ain't you. Because Yahweh don't operate like that. The earth don't operate like that. You can't find that anywhere in this book that we dealing through somebody's mama. If we're going to deal with the things that pertain unto Yahweh, we're going to deal with it how he deal with it, not how we want to deal with it. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 31. Jeremiah 31, and let's start this at 31.
Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I'll make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehudah.
Now, who's he making this covenant with?
Israel and Yehudah.
Now, wait a minute. Now, If you're going to be a part of the new covenant, then you're going to have to be a part of Israel, or you're going to have to join Israel in truth and in spirit. Not join Israel while thumbing your nose at Israel, while thinking that you better than Israel, while thinking that you all of this, and still be a part of the new covenant. That ain't going to work. Go ahead.
Not according to the covenant that I made with your fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break. Although I was an husband unto them, says Yahweh. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, says Yahweh, I'll put my law in your inward parts and write it in your hearts. I'll be their Elohim, and they shall be my people.
Right. I don't need to wear a fringe if the law in my heart. What I need to remember what the law says if the law is in my heart. And on the flip side, how can anybody who say they are not subject to the law be within the new covenant? How can anybody who say that the law is nailed to the cross be a part of the new covenant? The new covenant talks about writing the law in your heart. Go ahead.
And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahweh, for they shall all know me, from the least of them on to the greatest of them, says Yahweh. For I'll forgive their lawlessness, and I'll remember their sin no more.
I tell you what is getting interesting. All these people who starting to say Yahweh's name who didn't say it before. I tell you what, it is getting somewhat interesting. I'm talking about the biggest name in prophet line that you see on TV. All of a sudden throwing Yahweh's name out like it's regular. Wait a minute. This wasn't happening 10 years ago. This wasn't happening 20 years ago. All of a sudden, I mean, you hear the name everywhere now. Interesting. Go ahead.
Thus says Yahweh, which gives the sun for a light by day, and the ordinance of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divides the sea when the waves thereof roar. Yahweh of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, says Yahweh, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever.
Right. And this is what the nations push. If they can obscure the seed of the children of Israel so deeply, then they can possess what belongs to Israel. That's what he said. Go ahead.
Thus says Yahweh, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundation of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off all the seed of Israel from all that they have done, says Yahweh.
Right. He says it ain't possible for you to obscure Israel. You can do whatever that is you want to do. You can try to lock all us up. You can try to intertwine us as much as you can with the nations. But what did he say? I've reserved unto myself 7,000 men that have not bowed a knee to the image of Baal. You can go ahead and do that, whatever it is you got to do. But let me tell you something. He knows those that are here. Go ahead.
Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that the city shall be built to Yahweh, from the tower of Hananeel unto the gate of the corner. And the measuring line shall yet go forth over against it upon the hill of Gareb, and shall compass about to Goath. And the whole valley of the dead bodies, and of the ashes, and all the fields unto the brook Kidron, unto the corner of the horse gate toward the east, shall be holy unto Yahweh. It shall not be plucked up, nor thrown down any more forever.
All right. Let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Luke chapter 22. Luke chapter 22. Let's start at verse 14.
And when the hour was come, he sat down, and the 12 apostles with him.
Right. These 12 apostles represent the 12 tribes of Israel. So there's order in this. This is why he didn't need all of them 70 that was there before. While other people may be looking at Yahshua and say, oh man, his ministry is a failure. He said, no, I got exactly what I need. Go ahead.
And he said unto them, with desire have I desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer.
Before I suffer. Understand, your seating chart is based on your suffering. Ain't nobody sitting in his seat. See, you ain't suffered enough to sit in that seat. You can't go sit in his seat. Go ahead.
For I say unto you, I will not any more eat thereof until it be fulfilled in the kingdom of Elohim.
What did it say in Revelations? He's worthy to open the book. Why? Because they're suffering. Go ahead.
And he took the cup and gave thanks and said, take this and divide it among yourselves. For I say unto you, I will not drink of the fruit of the vine until the kingdom of Elohim shall come.
Mm-hmm.
And he took bread and gave thanks, and he brake it and gave it unto them, saying, this is my body which is given for you.
This is my body which is given for you. Go ahead.
This do in remembrance of me. Likewise also the cup after supper, saying, this cup is the New Testament in my blood, which is shed for you.
Right. And just as Yahshua was offered up for the children of Israel are spiritually being offered up so that the Gentiles might be given a wild olive branch to be grafted into Israel's tree. But you must not boast against the true owners of that tree, or else you also shall be cut off. So says Yahweh. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.